Welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I am your host, Dr. Melissa Mann. Join me for conversations about possibilities and tools for having more joy, more play, and way more of you. What would it be like to wake up every day with a wild enthusiasm for living? Hello and welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Mann, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Today, we will be talking about the power of words, particularly when it comes to manifesting and creating abundance in your life. So if that applies to somebody in your life, or you know there's someone that could benefit from this conversation, please go ahead and share this with them as we will start to have this conversation. I want you to start to notice like the things you say on a regular basis, the things that come out of your mouth kind of all the time. If you are in a regular conversation and you note that there are certain things that just come up a lot. I remember when I was much younger, I used to say, I'm so tired all the time. And everybody around me would be like, oh, yeah, I'm so tired. And we would all commiserate over how tired we were. And it wasn't until much later when I realized that when we say things like that, that's actually the reality that we're creating. So when we say things like, I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm sad, I'm lonely, all of those things, we're creating our reality with our words, not only with the words we speak, but the words we think in our mind as well. When we have these things that we sort of repetitively say, that is the reality that we are creating. So I wanted to look a little bit deeper at this as not only what are we saying, then what reality we're creating with what we're saying, but also what we can say instead and where we can start to be more cognizant of the words that we think and say, not only out loud, but in our own mind and in our day-to-day conversations. So words hold energy. So we say something, and even if the word like, that's not how I meant it, that's not really relevant, because even if you didn't mean it a certain way, the energy of a word itself holds that energy. So for example, if you say, I want this, I want a new job, I want a new relationship. Want, the original meaning of want is actually to lack. So when you're saying, I want this, you're saying, I lack this. And remember, the universe will always deliver what you affirm to be true. So if you say, I lack money, the universe is like, cool, you lack money. And the universe continues to you continue to stay in the vibration, and the universe continues to feed you back the vibration from which you are speaking that you lack money, if that kind of makes sense. So when you are talking about anything that you would like to have, if you notice when I talk about manifesting, I will always say, what would you like to have as your life? Or what is it that you're asking the universe for? What is it that you're creating towards? What are you generating? All of those things are alternative to saying the word want. So if you say, I want this, you're saying, I lack this. If you're saying, I need this, you're saying, I don't have this and I need it, which anything from need and that intensity of need is often a repellent for what it is that you're actually asking for. Even words like, I'm trying to create this, implies that you're not creating it. You are trying, but you are not succeeding. So long ago, I sort of took the word try out of my vocabulary. And I've noticed that even that small shift that seems so irrelevant, I suppose, has made a huge difference. Because if I stop saying, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to build a company, I'm trying to make more money, I'm trying to have more free time, all the things I've ever thought about trying to have, I acknowledge that when I try to have something, I don't have it. The same would go with the word but, which but is kind of a funny one because it's a little bit of a different energy. I don't necessarily avoid the word but I'm aware of what it means and creates. So when you say a sentence and then you add but somewhere in the middle of it, you're negating everything you said before the word. So it's like if a parent says to a child, you did a really great job on your homework, but you still need to clean your room. Everything before the but gets negated, and the energy of it is it doesn't really matter. It's not important. And so energetically, even a child picks up on that and it's like, oh, it doesn't really matter that I did well in school. You're still mad that I didn't clean my room. So think about that as we speak to people, as we try to give a compliment, or we look at what we're creating for ourselves of, yeah, I created all this stuff, but it's still not enough. All the universe hears from that sentence is it's still not enough, and which is an energy of lack. So those little nuances, those little words that we speak, the way we speak them changes the energy from which we are projecting our frequency into the universe. So instead of saying all of those things, instead of saying want, need, but, try, um, instead of saying, I don't have this, or I want to get this, or I'm tired, I'm broke, some of the things we talked about right when we started here, start to say what it is that you would actually like to have as though it's real. So instead of saying, I want to find a new house to buy, you might say, I'm so happy and grateful that I have this amazing new house. Now, people get really frustrated with this because they're like, but that feels like a lie. It's not true. So here's where I have spent a lot of time and energy looking at this in the last, I don't know, year or so of like, what is the solution then? Because if it doesn't feel real, then people say it feels like a lie and then they won't affirm it. The thing is that when you are affirming something to be true, you have to understand that in the quantum field of infinity, basically, there are a million dimensions, a million timelines that already exist. And there is a version of you that already has everything that you'd like to have, but you have to become congruent with that thing. You have to actually move yourself in such a way to match the frequency of that. And part of doing that is affirming that you already have it. And it isn't actually a lie. And this is what's key, is that people don't like saying affirmations because they'll say they feel like a lie. It's not a lie. You already have it. You just don't have it yet in this 3D reality that you're in right here, but it exists in another timeline already. You do already have the house. You do already have the relationship. You do already have the successful business. You do already have all the money you're asking for. Whatever that is that you're like, well, this doesn't feel real or true for me. It is real and true, and know that. And so when you affirm it to be true, you actually start to match the frequency of the thing that much faster and easier. You're planting a seed essentially. You're saying, okay, this is the thing that I'm asking for. And I know that it already exists. I already own that home. I already have that relationship. I already have these things that I'd like to have in my life. And that's what plants the seed. Now, if you go back and keep checking on that seed and you're like, it's not here yet. Why aren't you a tree yet? Why aren't you a tree yet? And see, this doesn't work. You're right. You're going to kill it. So instead, be excited when you start to see that first little sprout come up from the ground, from the seed that you planted with your words and your affirmations and your frequency, and see it and be like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. I do have a tree. That little seed is a tree. It's just still growing. And then you check on it a little while later, and that seed is now 2 feet tall. And instead of being like, well, it's still not a tree. No, it is a tree. It's growing. You are growing it with your energy, with your frequency, with your words and thoughts and beliefs. And when you see it, acknowledge it and be like, oh my goodness, I have a tree. Look at this. I made a tree. And that's what continues to allow that tree to grow and grow and grow. And eventually you do have the oak tree that is, I don't know how tall trees get. Tall, bigger than you. And it's exciting. So know that and be willing to play with this. So this isn't a game of making yourself wrong, of being like, oh no, I said want. It's just an acknowledgement of, yes, that is what I have been saying up until now. That is how I have been functioning. Notice the past tense. It is what I had been saying. It's what I was functioning from. And today, now in this moment, I am choosing to no longer function from lack and to start functioning from abundance and truly leaning into what are the things that you'd like to have and start to say that you have them. The other thing that's really important here is I myself have had such a habit of saying, I will have this. I'm working on this. I'm wishing for this. It's coming, as though it's like it's all out in the future. And as long as you keep things in the future, they will be in the future. So they never come to fruition and they never come to now. And that's why it's so important to say, I have this now. I have the house now. I have the relationship now. And I'm so grateful. And the gratitude piece is huge, because when we are grateful, gratitude is one of the highest frequencies. And when we are grateful, it allows us to really feel it in our body, to feel the gratitude of this thing that we have, that we've created, that we've asked for. And it feels that much more real. And it also raises our frequency towards that thing. And it makes us feel good. And when we feel good, we have a higher frequency. When we look at all the things we're grateful for, we have a higher frequency. One of the things I play with gratitude specifically is I will write a gratitude list at the end of the day or whenever the mood strikes. And in that gratitude list, I will interchange things that are already true in this 3D reality that I already have in front of me with the things that I'd like to have, but I don't word them differently. They're all sort of one and the same. I'm so grateful that my business makes X amount of money now. I'm so grateful for the new employee I just hired. I'm so grateful for the kombucha sitting in front of me. And I'm so grateful that I now have this workshop with 30 people signed up. So of those things I just said, 2 of them are things I'm asking for. And 3 of those things, I think I said 5 things, you get the idea, are things that are actually true in this 3D reality right now. But when I say them all together and sort of interchangeably and in the same gratitude list, it all feels like that same energy of gratitude for all the things that I have in my life and everything that I've created. And that lets the universe know that you are ready, open, and willing to have all those things as your life. And again, they already do exist. So please get out of the mindset that affirmations don't work because they feel like lies or because they're not congruent. They're not congruent yet, but there is a place that they are congruent. So tap into that. You have the ability to tap into so much more energetically than you've probably been taught or realize. When you meditate, even when you close your eyes for a minute, even when you get lost in a book, you are capable of being in so many different realities all at the same time. And you can have full awareness of the dimension, timeline, reality where the things you're asking for already exist, and go to that place and look at, okay, what is required for me to show up in that space? How do I need to speak now so that I am congruent, so that I match the frequency of the space and the timeline where I have all of these things that I'd like to have, and where I feel the way I like to feel. It's funny, we talk about manifesting and I use the have word a lot because it's probably the easiest way to describe manifesting. But I also want to point out that have doesn't necessarily mean I have this car, like I have this tangible physical thing that I'm holding. Yes, that exists, but we can manifest all sorts of things and never be truly happy. So when you're looking at manifesting, I'd also just encourage you to be looking at what is it that I'm really asking for? What is the feeling that I'm asking for? What is the life that I'm asking for? How will I know that I've achieved it? And what does that feel like in my body? And I did a whole like 4 podcasts back to back on manifesting, and you might want to go back and listen to those because it really kind of dives into this concept of like what is it that you're asking for and how do you want to feel. And um but from that, I want to point out as I'm, catching myself sort of saying, what is it that you'd like to have as though it's a tangible object? And maybe it is, but there's so much more available to it. And that's where you start to really look at your words, right? Because that matches your frequency of like, what is the life that you desire? And what does that look like? How does that show up? And add all of those things into your gratitude list as though you already have them. Inner affirmations of I am so happy and grateful now that I have this, now that I've created this, now that my business is this, all of the things that you might be asking for, and affirm them every day. And I have a sort of insane amount of affirmations on my mirror. I've found using Post-its is a good lot of fun because then I will muscle test each one on a regular basis and see if this affirmation is still relevant, something that I still need to be working towards, and what I might let go of. And my affirmations are often things like that. One of the things that it's funny, it's still there, but I guess at this point I've created it was what was it? It was like, I'm so happy and grateful that I have amazing, energetically aligned employees and renters. And when I put that on my mirror, I don't own, I rent this large building that we work out of. And as a therapist, and there's lots of other practitioners of varying types that work in this building. And I went through like a weird transition period where like there was like 3 open offices, which is not great for the bank account. And so I was like, okay, but I'm not just asking for like people to fill the space. I really desire people here that are energetically aligned, that I like being around, that I don't feel like I have to walk on eggshells around, that are respectful of each other. And that's really the energy I'd like to have. But instead of saying I want to have these things, or hoping for these things or wishing for these things, instead the affirmation is I am so happy and grateful that I have amazing renters and employees in my office space. And within, I don't even know, a week, 2 weeks of writing that up and starting to say it daily with my affirmations, I had people who filled the space that were here, that were energetically aligned, that had wonderful energy, and a new employee who also fits all of that. And it all worked really quickly from the time that I start affirming that it already existed, instead of, oh man, I'm stressing out, I really got to fill this space, which is what I used to do. And instead was like, okay, this, like, I know this already exists and I'm creating it now with my words. So anything like that you would like to have, that's just not what you'd like it to be. You don't have to be in a lack space either to create. It's just anything that you're like, okay, I've been saying I want this. Just start to notice when you're like, I want these earrings, or I want to go on vacation. Notice all the places you say want. Probably more than anything else, that's the word I catch myself still saying the most. I've probably said it 3 times in this podcast. I still catch it. And when I do, it's not okay, now I'm going to judge myself for it. It's just an acknowledgement of like, oh, I am still functioning from lack when it comes to that thing. Cool. What can I change? All right, let me change it to something different of I already have this. I'm excited that I have this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful that I have this trip coming up. Not that I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to find the money to take the trip, right? Do you see the energy difference? So it's where you start to stand strong in your words, in your thoughts, in your power, and actually create that as your reality by using your words and your affirmations. So I hope this was helpful. And there's probably way more that I didn't mention in here that you've heard in different places. I'm like thinking of others as I'm talking about it. So just notice the energy of the words that come out of your mouth. And again, not from lack or not from making yourself wrong, I suppose, but more from like, okay, this is where I've been functioning and I'm going to change it now. And work on cutting out want from your vocabulary, letting go of the word need, letting go of say I'm trying to, and letting go of everything being out in front of you in some future reality, and bring everything here into the now as it is being created, as that seed is growing. Whether you see it every day when you check on it or not, you know that it is growing, and you trust that all the things that you are creating are being created and already exist. So I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much. Please leave a review of this podcast. If you have a moment, when you leave a review, it gets out to the world so much wider and further. My target is to contribute to as many lives as possible with these podcasts. So thank you so much for being a part of it. See you next time. Bye-bye.